Hello and welcome to the Unwanted Opinion podcast, the show in which we, my friends, give our unwanted opinions on all things film. My name is Lewis, and I'm joined again with Kyle.
Hello.
Hello. I mean, we haven't moved since the last episode. We've
I
got changed,
I've
Kyle.
I've sat I've sat down. I have to admit I'm
You
giving a wee
sat
bit
down.
I'm giving a wee bit of a different vibe since we're just recording this back to back.
Yeah, we're literally straight off just doing the Nosferatu review into this episode now. So yeah, what we're going to talk about, Kyle, we're going to be talking about the best and worst films of 2024. The year is
Yes.
over and out. You and I have collectively seen a shit ton of movies, good and bad, and middling, of course. So we're just gonna jump right into it. Is there anything? So I guess we could do this a bit differently, right? Because we've got our two best and worst each, right?
Yeah.
So two kind of main ones you want to talk about. But is there any honorable mentions or like special awards, I guess, you want to give out to something like maybe like your most disappointing, your most surprising,
Oh yeah, no,
one that
okay. Yeah,
all that
so
stuff. Okay, yeah.
best surprising for me this
Okay.
year has to go to right. I'm gonna give two. My
Mm,
complete surprise of I had no reason that this existed
okay.
has to go to Kneecap. That
Oh
was
yes.
a film that I
Kneecap was
didn't know
good, yeah.
existed until you kind of took me to the film, and I was like, oh, I don't know.
Was it?
Uh,
It was a secret screening actually.
it
It
was a
was.
secret
I think.
screening, and you can
Yeah.
see. I believe Kneecap is still streaming free on Amazon Prime if you
Oh,
own
is
the
it? Okay.
subscription. But we were in a wee
Yeah.
argument about before that.
What
I
is
thought,
free?
yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was great. So that's probably my that was a really nice surprise film for me,
Mm.
completely out of the blue. Um, Another one like saying like Long Legs also, I was like that kind of lived up. That mostly did live up to the hype. I mean, I really enjoyed that film.
Mhm.
I'm not a huge intense horror fan. Like I don't really like into the Conjuring and stuff, but for the most part, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed Long Legs.
Mhm.
Um, Disappointment side of things. I'm looking at like oh right,
Oh, well,
not not
yeah.
not like a huge disappointment, but I was just
Mhm.
really gutted. And I know your different opinion of this was Maxine for me. I
Yeah, but we're not
I
that
was
different on it. I think it's okay at best. I
I
know you
was
didn't
gut.
like
I
it.
was because
Yeah.
I've told you how to
Uh-huh.
fix it. It's a very simple
True.
ending.
If you listen to was it our review of Maxine or was it some other episode where
No,
Kyle
it
goes
was
through the
another
ending
because
and
I hadn't seen it by the time you had
uh-huh.
reviewed it, and a
I
few
reviewed it and then
weeks later, I was like, right,
uh-huh.
give me the light line here. I need to
Yeah.
tell you how to fix this film.
And you could hear me on air being like, "Oh, that's actually a lot
It's such
better."
a great. So
I'm like, "Oh my
if
god,
you can
yeah."
find that, please do because
Uh-huh.
that'll be your
Mhm.
reward. Um, I yeah, I mean nothing else like everything else like on the bad side. I was like, this is going to be bad. Actually,
I
no.
know.
Drive Away Dolls. That was a surprisingly bad film
Oh,
for
the
me that I
yeah.
wasn't
I've
expecting
not
to be
heard great
bad.
things about it. Drive Away
Yeah,
Dolls, yeah.
that's the fourth lowest on my list.
That's
You
harsh.
know,
But, like you said, a lot of critics that I've heard and, like,
mhm.
I remember listening to Mark Kermode's review of it, and he was also n not didn't have much nice things to say about it
Mhm.
either, so, um
But
if we want to talk about like surprises and disappointments and stuff, I guess I'll rattle through some. Look, if you go to unwantedopinion.net, with my written site, where I
yeah,
occasionally, very occasionally now, it's actually quite rare, where I do review, where I have written reviews and lists and rankings and things. There is a whole top 24 films of 2024 you can go through, and you can see the
you're gonna
films I
be
really liked this
struggling
year.
in a few years, and you get to like 20 to 50. You
No,
got the
I'm
50 top
capping
films.
it. I'm capping it at 25.
Oh,
Next year, I'm
all
doing
right,
that.
right.
After that, we're not doing any more. I'm sorry, and hopefully there'll be 25 good films. But I have to say there were more than 24 films I gave an 8 out of 10 to or higher
Yeah.
last year, and the one that just missed out on that spot. That was my 25th best film of the year, and one of my biggest surprises as well. I've got a few surprises.
Okay.
Is Gladiator 2. I
Yeah.
really liked Gladiator 2. I kind of because Ridley Scott's been in a bad run of form recently, a
Mhm.
sequel that no one wanted or kind of expected anything from, and everyone kind of was like it's cash grab, and it's got elements of sure be a cash grab, but the sheer scale and production of it, and Denzel Washington, and the action, I just really. I just really liked it. I'm not saying it's not got the best like messaging or it's
Yeah.
not the most captivating film of the year or anything, but I just really had a great time seeing that in a film theater. Another one that is on my list, actually, I think at number 22 is another big surprise for me was the Bike Riders, the Tom Hardy,
Oh
Austin Butler,
yeah,
Jodie Comer film, because I thought the trailer for that looks terrible.
yeah,
But it was a really engaging, old fashioned, really well shot drama. Very queer coded as well, about a guy not feeling like he belongs anywhere except with these men in this gang, and the way it's sort of directed hints at that a lot. And my most controversial surprise of the year, where everyone in the world has hated this film, and that's Joker Folie à Deux. I liked Joker Folie à Deux. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I liked it more than the first one. I thought the song numbers were great. It's the better musical than something else this year. Um, and saying that to me is absolutely bonkers. But I just love the fact that Todd Phillips, because I don't like the first film, and it's a whole sort of meta, like sort of trial and sort of reconsidering his entire first film with some really beautiful song numbers. I mean, the one like I always talk about is the one Walking Phoenix on the phone.
yeah.
I think that's such a really beautiful performance. I really love it, and I think the film is expertly shot as well and really colorful. And my big one, let's go if we're going disappointments. I'm going to give Wicked a huge disappointment, not because I'll tell you why it was really disappointing for me. Is because I saw the trailers, I went, that doesn't look very good. Then it came out to a considerably good critical acclaim.
Yeah.
Um, all my friends who've seen it like it. I saw it and just thought it was just a straight up bad film. It's just really badly put together. We just talked about, like I was saying with just Joker Folie à Deux, or we talked about Nosferatu in the last episode, like productions that at least look good. It can't even get that right. I think it's an awful looking film. Just an hour too long of just padding. Really disappointed in it, and I really cannot believe the sort of awards consideration it's going to get
Yeah.
come this season. And I really am worried it is going to win Best Picture, because I just think filmically it's just not a well put together production. So that was a really big disappointment to me because of sort of everyone raving about it, and it's one of those films that made me feel like I was going mad, and I was like, I don't see it. So I'd have to give it to that. But let's begin, right, Kel? So
Yeah.
are you gonna go one of your worst or one of your best first? How are you gonna do it?
Let's start off on a positive note, shall we?
Okay, yeah,
We'll
because I just
go with
ranted a little
we'll
bit.
go with one of
The,
my
the last of that
best.
is not the last of my wicked rants. Let me tell you, when
Is it not?
when when these awards come.
We'll go with. I'll say. I'll quickly go through. We're going to talk in depth of our top two. I'll quickly mention the remaining three in my top five very quickly, right?
Okay.
In fifth spot is The
Mhm.
Substance, an
Yeah,
incredible film.
I think that, mate, that is my number 5 as well.
Is it insane? That's
That's my
incredible.
number 5.
That's incredible. Yeah, The
Uh,
Substance, a film that I remember when I met you at the cinema. I was like, "Is this a
I
horror?"
don't know what this.
I
Yeah.
I saw one trailer and I was like, "Oh, this is a." To be fair, when we saw the trailer, me and Lewis were quite distracted by Dennis Quaid being in it, and
Yeah.
that's really why I didn't pay much attention because I was like, "Oh my
To the
god,
rest of the trailer.
Dennis Quaid's in it! I've seen it no matter what."
Mhm.
So when I saw it, when I sat in the cinema waiting for you, and it was like the best body horror
Mhm.
of the year, I was like, "What am I in for?" A
Yeah.
wild ride, an absolutely wild ride. An incredible film. We talked about it very such depth on the
Yeah.
show. It really, really something I want more people to watch, but I just know some people
Yeah.
are not going to get past that gore because I
A
know a lot of
lot, that
people
is the
are.
type of film that's gonna some people are gonna instantly love or instantly hate. Like, it's
Yeah,
just it will not be their thing. They won't. It's
it's
so over the
not, but
top and crazy
even
as well.
even the
Yeah.
way it's shot and kind of the
Yeah.
civilization and they do a
Mhm.
lot of like in your face shots, especially when like Dennis Quaid's
Yeah.
eating or when
Yeah.
Margaret Quayle is kind of like panicking on the New Year's Eve sort of show.
Yeah, all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so that quick mention there. That's my fifth place.
Yeah.
Fourth place was Civil War.
Yeah, Civil War is a good film. I like Civil War.
I loved Civil War.
Yeah.
What a film! We saw that in the IMAX. That
The
was
good IMAX film.
an incredible film to see in the IMAX. Every shot
Mhm.
felt just so impactful, just how it was
Yeah.
filmed. The use of photography and war photography, and
Hmm.
Kirsten Dunst is
Hmm.
incredible
Yeah,
in
she's
it.
fantastic in action.
Um,
Kaylee
Kay-
Spenny as well is really good in
Kaylee
it as
Spenny
well.
is
Yeah.
incredible in it as well. I mean, everybody
Hmm.
is just doing a fantastic job, and I really like what the kind of messaging was. I'm very disappointed in the general public who thought it was going to be an action-heavy film, and
I think A24 broke even on it though. I think it was okay in
yeah,
the end.
I
Um,
I absolutely loved it, and I am like forcing people to watch it, but I'm like, here, do
mhm.
not think of it as this. Think
Yeah,
of it as
yeah.
this. You want
Mhm.
context, you're not getting it. And I loved it for
No.
that. I loved it for
Yeah,
that. I loved
yeah.
it spoon feeding you tiny bits of information and you kind of making it up in your head. Oh, right, okay,
Mhm.
so they've said that President shot people or civilians. Oh, what does this mean? And, all
Yeah.
that. And
Love the drip feeding of information. Very good. It's very clever.
incredible. And I'm going to quickly just mention in my third top film of the year. And this is what I was kind of talking earlier when we were discussing Nosferatu, where so it's The Holdovers, right? It's my third film
Yes.
of the year, and I want to give you context about this, Lewis. Is that
Yes.
uh, I don't know when it was, 23rd or 4th of December, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of get to Christmas
Mhm.
time. I'm sitting down with my girlfriend, and we're like, let's watch a film. Let's go in Sky Cinema. Let's see what film. And
Mhm.
we came across this Christmas film that it just released. It was a Sky Cinema exclusive, and we're like, oh,
Yes.
let's just put it on. And it was
Mm.
something with Danny DeVito and his daughter, and we made it
Oh,
about
it wasn't Deck the Halls?
no, Danny DeVito's actual daughter.
Oh, right. Okay.
No,
Okay.
Deck the Halls is
I
a
don't know.
fantastic film. I'll stand by that. I think
Deck the
that's
Halls is not a fantastic film, but carry on.
I stand by that. Matthew Broderick's finest performance since Phillies Beers Day Off. Anyway, so watching this film, and I can't remember what it's called. The plot was just baffling as well. We made it 15 minutes
Mhm.
in, and we were like, "Here, can we turn this off?" And she was like, "Yes, please.
Yeah.
This is dreadful." And then I was like, "Oh, The Holdovers." I was like, "Oh, that was that this year." This I was like, "Oh, I've heard that's all right. You want to put it on?" I was like, "Yeah."
Mm.
Oh, see when it's not seriously. If you ask my girlfriend, every time there was just this film, 99% of it are the most beautiful shots I've seen. But this is
It's
also a
very well
thing.
shot.
This is also a thing where you've been given. I was given like a single pea to eat,
Mhm.
and then I got this feast of a meal. So I was like, everything was just. I was like, oh my god, they remembered how to film. Like this is what I was talking about when I was talking about
Yeah.
Nosferatu, where I was
It
just
feels
like,
like it's something out of time as well.
it it
Like it feels like an early 80s, 70s
it
film, like
does
brought
it,
to the yeah.
and we watched it. We were
Mhm.
laughing. We were emotional.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
finished that, and she was just like, "Here, that is a Christmas classic for me now." And I was like,
It hopefully will
100.
become like a family Christmas classic over the next few years
Because
because it is deserving
Paul
of it. Yeah.
Giamatti in that is
Yeah.
just. I loved every. No, seriously, The Holdovers had
Yeah.
such a weird grasp on me, and I
Mhm.
was just like, God, this is such a good film. Um, and yeah, that was such a surprise, and I'm really glad I
Mhm.
technically be able to add it into this year's list because I
Yeah.
can't remember when it came out for
Yeah.
us. Um,
Like we should. I probably like we live in the UK, so like a
yeah,
lot. If someone's watching this and be like, "That's a 2023 film," it came out in January for us in 2024. Like it's the release dates are all bullshit and annoying, especially this time of year.
it's
But
why
it was
Nosferatu's not on this list because it's a 2025
yeah,
film for us.
yeah, true. Nosferatu couldn't make this, even though we literally saw it like 5 days after the end of
Yeah,
New Year. But that's the way the release date system gods have made it. Don't
yeah,
blame us, right? So that is a 2024 film for us,
yeah.
right? Because it released here 2024.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Holdovers. Uh, it's got something holding over me. I tell you that film.
Yeah, yeah.
Insane. So yeah, so those were the
Hmm.
three. Those were the kind of five, 4, and 3 of my top 5.
Mhm.
So are you wanting to jump to maybe one of your big films, or do you want to go? What do you want to do?
What like my honorable mentions or like one of
Well,
my
wait.
favorite
See,
films of the year?
your honorable mentions are online. Everybody can see them. Let's go for one of your big in depth
Okay.
ones.
Okay, so let's go with the Beast then. So the Beast, pwah, this is so I wrote this as well. I said this was like this year's weirdest, hardest to define film because it's like a hodgepodge and mix of so many different things. It's a proper period romance, like The Age of Innocence,
Yep.
and then there's a whole other portion of the story set in modern day LA. or contemporary LA, not exactly modern day LA, which then becomes like late David Lynch horror,
Yeah,
and it's also
yeah,
dealing with like this reality? Is it's not reality? We're sort of in a simulation to
yeah,
like the Matrix, right? It's all these different things, but it's such a mesmerizing film because of its just genre jumping chameleon like film. Its ability to sort of jump between genres so seamlessly without it being like a tonal mess.
yeah,
The way it does it so like succinctly and smoothly, it's wonderful because it lures you in and then you go, oh my god, things are getting a bit weird, and then you go, things are getting actually a bit creepy now, and then you go, ah, there's going to be a jump scare soon. I fucking hate this. I want to leave because I'm gonna shit myself in a minute, sort of
yeah,
thing. Its ability to do that is it's so bizarre. But at the end of the day, you're basically following these two people who were set in a world it's like 2040 something, where the majority, over 2/3 of the 70 something percent of the world, is deemed useless by AI. You don't need a job. You don't need a job, right? Because AI can do it, right? So since there's nothing to do, we just live in simulation essentially, where we can, go to whatever period we want and do whatever we want. But then there's these people who are essential to make the way to work the world. But Leo Stu's character is kind of on the verge of being like, I am a person who is needed, but I think I'm eventually going to like. I actually need this job? I could move on to the
yeah,
simulated world. But what the simulated world does is when you choose to go through the procedure, you're basically become like all your emotion is dulled, so you feel like a fragment of what you would feel before if you saw someone you loved, or you had a fantastic meal, you had a great time with friends, whatever it is. The emotion would be like baseline; it'd be practically nothing. Um, and so that's what you choose to give up in order to go into the simulation. So she essentially goes for like a week free trial of basically be like, what would this feel like?
yeah,
And in doing that, she meets George McKay's character, and they sort of are on this like sort of like journey through time. And then in one period they're like lovers, and other periods they're hostile to each other, and all this strange stuff. And it's all just about like sort of the need for human emotion, and the need for humanity in a world that's moving closer and closer to AI taking up so much of our roles and positions. And the ending is so impactful. I'll say that. The ending is just like, oh my god. Like, I don't want to spoil it. It's such a weird, great film. And I say this all the time because this is a problem people have, is
yeah,
that I don't understand this film within the first 15 minutes, half an hour. Just wait, right? Things make sense as they go along.
yeah,
And that's not just for that film, that's for so many films.
yeah. No.
Don't ask me questions. Watch and find out. If you've got questions at
Oh
the
yeah.
end, we can ask. We can ask away, right? But just watch the film, and that's all I can say about the pieces. Just watch the film. And Lisa Do, George McKay. They're just great. They're just fantastic leads in it. It's
'Cause
just a great mystery of a film. I love it.
I remember you saying, I'm thinking this one. This is where you're like saying for like 15, 20 minutes, it just turns into an intense horror.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, yeah.
it has intrigued me, and it is on the list.
Mhm.
And I thought I was gonna be able to watch it on Amazon Prime, but no, you fooled me by saying I have to rent it on Amazon Prime.
It's on Mubi. It's on Mubi.
I
So
know,
there's that.
I know. Yeah, no, I will get around to it. I do promise. I do
Right.
promise. That's an
Are you gonna
excellent
do?
choice.
What are you
Oh,
gonna do
sorry.
now? A worst film or?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'll go for a worst film. I'll go for
Okay,
a
let's do a
worst
worst.
film.
Let's do a shit film. Let's do a shit film.
Where am I? Right. Other just dishonorable mention. Argyle. What a piece of crap that was.
Thankfully, I never watched that.
Oh, honestly, horrific. One film that probably I'm just gonna briefly talk about because it genuinely doesn't even deserve it. The Idea of You. Sorry, Anne Hathaway. It was on Amazon
Oh,
Prime.
that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't
So
see that either.
that's because me and my girlfriend were like, oh, let's put it on. I was like, yeah. I was like, this looks risky, but okay. Um, baffling.
I love it when it's baffling.
Baffling, baffling, baffling film. There's generally anything else I could say. Basically, falls Anne Hathaway, some I don't know age which she is, but she basically falls in love with a pop star and then has an affair and stuff like that. Generally, some just the worst acting I've seen in recent years. The plot is just absolutely abysmal, and it's just nothing makes sense. It's just garbage upon garbage. And it got to my point. My girlfriend's like, "Here, can we fast forward this?" Like, no, no, no. We need to actually like see this out now. I'm sorry, but this is. I don't give up when we're 75% way through a film.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
you saw it to the end. Good for you.
it's got the classic. You just know the film. You know it. You know the
Okay.
story.
You know what's gonna happen.
If
Yeah.
you know the concept of it, you know what the film's going to be. And it was
Mhm.
just laughably bad. And there's so many things that didn't make sense. And we're like, Anne Hathaway, what are you doing?
Mhm. You
You
don't
were
need to do this.
you were in Interstellar. What are you doing? Um, just phone up Christopher Nolan and say, here, can you help me out?
Uh-huh.
And I think he is. Is she not in Odyssey? Is she not one of the many people cast in Odyssey? I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe, probably.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so right, apart from that, because that really doesn't deserve the light of day. Um,
Mhm.
the worst film on this list I have here was Madam Web, which was
Yeah. That's Kyle. Congratulations. Another, just like The Substance, we met up there. It is
halfway.
also my
Yeah.
worst film of the year. Yeah.
Not saying that I didn't have fun with it because for some
Uh-huh.
reason there were some scenes that I was killing myself at because the amount of times I see it on
No, it's
Twitter,
fun.
where I see people bring up the scene about how she can never open the can of Pepsi.
Yeah.
Funniest thing ever. Because every scene she's just holding it and she goes to like almost open it, but she says not to open it.
Yeah.
I want to know what contractual hold Sony had on everybody there. You know,
Yeah.
Sydney Sweeney came out and said that she only did it to make Anything But You happen, and
Yeah, she had to like fund that film.
that was a far better film. A very classic rom com. It was great fun with Glenn
Yeah.
Powell. This film was absolutely dog shit, and it's like,
Yeah.
why? Right. So
Mhm.
bear in mind, Craven's just came out. We've had 3 spum films this year, right? The 3
Mhm.
last of them, R.I.P. Um,
Oh yeah, RIP to the Sony
yeah,
Spider-Man, whatever they
and
called the universe.
so what they were saying, they were like, "Oh, we kept making them because we thought people liked them." And what universe? They were trying to justify that Morbius made them money, which I don't think it did. I
Did it? I
did
don't
it.
think so.
I don't
I
know,
don't think so.
but it was just watching all these things, reading all these like things of people saying like, "Oh, I don't know why people don't like going to see it. I thought it was a pretty good film." Like, yeah, you're just studio.
Yeah.
James Gunn came out and said The Flash was one of the best films he's ever seen because he was contractually applied to. Okay, like.
Yeah.
But like, I genuinely, if I was the head studio and Man Web came out and I saw it, I was like, right, let's do a Warner Brothers. Let's tax write some films right now. Let Venom 3
Mhm,
go out.
mhm,
That's a
mhm.
trilogy. It'll make some money. Craven, get
Venom
it.
3 actually did make $476 million, so
Yeah,
that definitely was profitable.
yeah.
Well, also a terrible film, which we
So
saw,
I'd have been
sadly.
like, Craven, you're getting tax relief, mate. Bye bye.
Yeah.
There's no point. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't. The decisions behind these Sony executives, where you
Yeah.
find out that they're like, oh yeah, you were allowed to use Spider-Man the entire time. Yeah, sure, confusion, all that, blah blah blah. But right now, I do not know what Marvel or Sony are doing with the Spider-Man character because they are wasting it away. Very much where like Lucasfilm with Star Wars, where they're like, bear in mind, it used to be a 3-year gap, roughly,
Mhm. Yeah.
between. Well, actually, no, it was less. 2017 was Homecoming. 2019 was Far From Home. Then COVID happened, and it was 2021. Was
Mhm.
it 2021 or was it 2022?
2021. No Way Home, 2021.
So it's a 2-year gap between all the films.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been 4 years.
Yeah. They
Like,
kinda seem to settle on a script for this thing.
this is what I'm saying. Like, at this point, we should be on Spider-Man 5.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
2025 should be the year of Spider-Man 5. This
mhm.
is what I'm saying. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand what anybody in that studio is doing. You were like, oh, okay, everybody was like hype, like, oh, cool, all the Spider-Women in their suits. Like, oh, Flash, we're gonna do this a wee Flash thing.
Yep.
Dakota Johnson was the saving grace because of she just decided to act like it was a stupid film.
I was genuinely like, it was a
She
weirdly
knew
like,
what she was doing. She
she
knew it.
knew what she was doing, and it was
Yeah.
weirdly clever. Like, I liked her
Uh-huh.
performance in it. It was
Cause like
bizarre.
at the
Uh-huh.
end when she's like blinded and
Uh-huh.
she's absolutely 100% went on that set drunk as heck and went, I'm gonna have
Yeah,
some
or
fun.
I
I'm gonna
liked
have
her
some fun with
delivery
this.
of stuff though. I liked the way she sort of, um, I think she knew, but yeah, like you're saying, Kyle,
Yeah.
it's like, what are we doing? Like, what is the point of this thing? Like, it's just, I'm not saying look, I think almost any film could be good on paper.
Yeah,
You know, you want to have a time warping, fortune telling.
like
Sure, you could put Spider-Man related adjacent
yeah,
character. Sure, it could be interesting. It could be a good thing, but you can market it and budget it on the scale of it going to be like a blockbuster because you certainly can't do that with the character of Madam Web. So trying to make set pieces which all are just like you see better stuff on like network TV. It's just you can't
I
market it and deliver it as such
you
like
know
that because
I
it's just
s-
not going to
yeah,
work.
I
Mhm.
saw very early days when there was like rumors of what the script was. There was one script
Uh-huh.
that appeared. I was like, this is so cool. Where it was just
Yeah.
Spider-Man, but what if it's Terminator? Where like
Well, they're trying to go back and
like
kill Peter Parker.
no, but genuinely, it was like in the future, like all the Spider people come from Peter. Like he was like the origin of everything. So somebody goes
Yeah.
back in time, and then like Madam Web goes back in time and has to like recruit who are going to be future Spider Girls women
Mhm.
to like help them stop the death. And I was like, that seems better than whatever we had with this. A villain that
Yeah.
every single line of dialogue was ADR. Not one single line
Oh,
in that was
terrible.
not single
Yeah.
one. And it was like they're gonna take everything that they built. I've built. What have you built? Tell me.
Yeah, we don't know anything about you, man.
It could be an IKEA bookshelf. Like there's no context of this character. He's got genuinely the worst costume known to man. You've got some of the line delivery right, and it's like, oh yeah, uncle, all the fun, but none of the responsibility, and you practically wink at the camera. And
Yeah.
then you've got that guy who goes, oh, with great responsibility comes great power. And we're like,
Mm.
Jesus, what are we doing here?
We're scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
The Amazon like tribe of spider people, and I'm just like,
Yeah, who have the Spider-Man mask and like the tree
ah,
twigs.
and I'm just like,
Yeah, it was wild.
this
Wild time.
genuinely would be something that if they were like, oh, do you want to come to the set? I'm like, oh, this would be so cool. I want to see a set. I would look around and I'd be like, I need to speak to somebody. As an avid cinema goer, I need to speak to somebody. What are you doing? Genuinely, an
But
absolute piece of trash.
that's the thing. It's like, who knows anything about it? Like even like thinking about it like drains me inside because I
And
don't really I don't understand its existence. Its
do you know what's
point
the
or
worst part
why
about it?
Sony needs to do it. Like why does Sony need to make this?
I'm
Do
gonna
they?
say,
I don't
yeah.
think. Is it something to do with legal rights? Do they need to make more
No,
Spider-Man
no,
esque
it's
films?
I know like in the past Fox had an issue where they had to just crank out Fantastic Four because they had to keep making them every
Yeah.
once in a while. They didn't have to do that with this. What annoys me
Uh-huh.
more, right? I'm gonna find it because when I saw
Mhm.
this, and I think I showed it to you, it for some reason has an absolutely sick steelbook cover.
What
Like,
does Madam Web?
yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get it up and just like show you. Like for what it is, I'll see if I could.
Mhm.
No, I don't know. That's gonna.
Can the camera see it? Can the camera see it?
If
Kyle, apparently, if you're listening to this,
just
look
like
up the Madam Web Steelbook. Yeah, that's pretty good.
it has
That's
no
pretty simplistic. I
it
like
has no right to be that good.
it.
Like
So how are you
genuinely,
doing that?
like no
That's pretty
serious. If you look at it, it is a sick steelbook cover
good.
for an absolutely trash film. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah, but
Right. Okay. Well, let's
Yeah,
move on from
yeah.
Madam Web because
Do you have
getting
any
exhausting.
worst films you want to quickly talk about?
Well, so that was my worst film of the year. That was the film I gave a 1 out of 10 on my list.
Well,
I
yeah,
guess I'll
go
just
for your
rattle.
second worst. Yeah,
So, look, I don't even want to talk about Deadpool Wolverine. Listen to a review.
you were not a big fan of that.
I'm tired
You're
of
tired
talking
of it.
about it. I'm
That's
tired of
fine.
ranting about it. This just looks like shit. Venom, The Last Dance as well was just much like Madam Web
No,
in the same vein. Just like, what are we doing?
I
What are
defend
we
that
doing?
film with
It's just
that last
random
scene.
shit happening on screen.
I am sorry, but the fact that I know that final scene was a reshoot just
Yeah.
blows my mind. Of him walking around New York with that song playing.
Yeah.
And he
To be
just
fair, the ending, guys, the ending of Venom 3 is so funny that
it saved
I'll
it.
just say they end the film with a Maroon 5 song. I'll just leave it at that. A Maroon 5 song plays us out of the Venom trilogy. It's so good.
It's beautiful.
Um,
It is genuinely beautiful.
It's truly beautiful. I guess other disappointments. I actually forgot to mention these as well as disappointments.
Yep.
Is Steve McQueen's Blitz. I
You
thought
were
it was a
not-
really
yeah.
misguided
You had a
disappointment of a
big issues
film.
with
His
that.
worst film easily, and Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis as well. I forgot to mention that on my disappointed list. But yeah, Megalopolis, man, it's nowhere near as bad as like a bunch of the other films I've mentioned prior to this. Um, because it strives for something and
Yeah.
at times can be really beautiful. But by God, there's so much baggage to it, and so much of it that does not look good, and some of it that's very confused. That it's it's a
Back to the
shame that
club.
that is the way it
Yeah.
is. Um, I'm glad it gave us that as well, though, and some really great shots and moments, and a really nice ending to a film that wasn't good. But I'm gonna my other second one, I guess, is my second place one, would be Jason Statham's The Beekeeper because of how mind-numbingly boring it is.
That
And it's a weird one because
gotta
if you
protect
go
the
to I
hive.
presume I'm not going to check it. Yeah, Protect the Hive. If you go on the Cinema Score or the Rotten Tomatoes, I'm sure it has a pretty good audience rating, or
That'd be
whatever
sure.
else. But it's just for me, what it felt like is even like it felt like pre streaming service, like straight to DVD action films. Like it's a David Ayer film as well, and yeah, it's about Jason Statham, who's secretly this guy called a beekeeper who, is like has to, protect the US against any and all threats, no matter where they come from, sort of thing. And the worst thing about it is that for an Jason Statham action film, there's not enough action in it. When the
Oh.
action is there, it's bland and forgettable. Bar the final fight scene that is pretty good in the middle corridor. I liked that. It was nasty and gritty, and I was like, why wasn't the rest of the film like this? But you have to follow two FBI agents for a huge portion of this runtime. It's essentially just stalling for time to make this a feature length film because this is the way this film flows. Jason Statham goes to take revenge on certain people, causes a lot of damage, goes to the next place. We then have to stop, basically put the film on pause while the FBI agents over here follow the trail of the stuff we already know what happened and everything that went down to then try and figure out where they're going next. I'm
Yeah.
like, we know we're following Jason Statham's the main character. You're not. Oh, and also it's the two people playing them don't know how to play professional FBI agents. The script probably doesn't allow them to either. It looks like they're in dress up and they suck at their fucking job, and the way they carry themselves, really bad performances. I'm sorry, The Beekeeper fucking sucks. And if you like it,
Right. Well, hear me out.
if you like it, fine, but I don't understand. Like, can you just watch mindless action reels on YouTube and be satisfied? Because that's essentially what you're looking for with something like this. It
Lewis,
just sucks. Yeah,
question time. The Beekeeper or the
yeah.
Meg 2?
Oh, the Meg 2 is worse. The Meg 2 is. Oh, fuck,
Oh,
I
is it?
forgot he was in my least favorite film of last year, of 2023. The Meg 2 is worse. The Beekeeper at least has that action scene
Right,
that I
that's fine.
liked.
You've got something.
But
You've got something
apart
there.
from that, fucking garbage, man.
Right.
Garbage.
Well,
Right.
I'll jump to what is my favorite film, but my second favorite film is your favorite film, which we can then talk about when you go into it.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
for me, my top film of 2024 has to be Dune Part 2.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
The second runner up was very close. It was a close runner up, but I think for me, just knowing
hmm
this the initial story of Dune and the kind of rising
hmm
of Paul Atreides and the kind of
Yeah.
Fremen world was closed off so perfectly in my head. That
hmm
first book, I
Yeah.
was so happy. It's one of my films you were talking about earlier with Nosferatu, where we were saying like you get certain films that you're like it just met what I wanted it to
Yeah,
be.
you had high expectations and it met them. Yeah.
That is exactly was Dune Part 2. When I sat down in that film in the IMAX and those the Harkonnens just started floating up, pure cinema. I was just like that. I was like that. I was like that. I'm a Scorsese meme. I was like
More
pure.
colorful than
Oh
Wicked.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
For me personally, June is I love the story of June. I always have.
Mhm.
I saw the David Lynch one years ago. Rewatched it actually building up to this one.
Did you?
I
Wow.
rewatched parts. I rewatched parts of it because I was like,
Yeah.
how bonkers is this again? Because obviously
Yeah.
they squeeze it all in, and then like he just decides to make it rain because I think he was like, I'm not going to attempt any of the other novels. Let's just continue here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think my biggest kind of concern with June is that they're continuing them, and
Oh yeah, well they're doing Messiah, which makes sense.
Yeah, but have you not seen that they've already put 4 in development? Children of Dune's already,
Oh dear.
because they're
Right, okay.
like, I don't know if Warner Brothers or whoever, is it Warner Brothers? No, who
It's Warner
does?
Brothers.
Is it
It's
Warner
Warner
Brothers?
Brothers.
I don't know if they're trying to contain Need, but he does not want to stick with the franchise. He is very honest, where he was like, if I can do Messiah, I can do my 3 films and
And
leave.
then I can do my own thing.
You
Yes,
know,
he can.
and
He can have his epic trilogy.
I guess you could, because Paul's story does technically continue in Children, but it is very much capped off in Messiah.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing he could probably try and really close off Paul's story in Messiah if he really
hmm
wanted to, because obviously he's doing some stuff different from the source
Yeah, he
material.
wants to. Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that they're doing Children is giving me the fear, because then they can do
Yeah.
God Emperor of June, and if you ever don't know what's happening in God Emperor of June, Google it.
Okay.
The front cover of the book says it all. So yeah, but
hmm
for me, the score,
hmm
just Zendaya and that final scene where she just
Yeah, she's
does all
fantastic, and I
her
think. Yeah.
acting for the emotions. My
Yeah.
one critique of it, which I think was you, was I'm like, Christopher
Mm.
Walken, what are you kind of doing? Give us
Yeah,
something.
a really sad miscast for me because I love Christopher Walken and I was expecting something more because I think Denis is a really good actor, director
Uh-huh.
as well. Um, and yeah, it was just a really weird thing that he's in this film, and it
It
just
was
didn't
it
sit right with me.
because like
He's not in it for
Florence.
much, but
No, but when he's like acting with Florence, I'm like, you're not giving off the energy that she's giving, and you should be a wee bit more.
yeah,
You're meant to be a bit more concerned that this uprising's happening, and
yeah,
that the Bene Gesserit maybe can kind of, oh, don't know, this is happening and everything
mhm,
like that. 100%. I do want to watch Dune Prophecy. I've heard some people like it. I've heard mixed things. It is based
yeah. I've
off
heard
of.
mixed things.
It's not based off Frank Herbert stuff. It's based off his son Brian Herbert, who went a wee bit
Yeah.
more. I'm gonna do my own
Weird.
thing.
Right.
No, Frank went pretty weird. Frank went pretty
Okay,
weird
for
in
the
later
weird. Okay.
feared. Yeah.
Mm.
Frank went really weird in the later books. But Brian just kind of went like, instead of like a Tolkien scenario where Christopher Tolkien kind of like tried to respect the world, Brian kind of, he did respect it, but kind of just was like, I'm gonna make up my own lore
hmm
and
hmm
stuff with like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've heard it's good, and I will watch it. But yeah,
So,
June
did
Park's
you know
great.
Dune 1 and 2 are re-released in IMAX this January in
I
the Science Centre?
Yeah, but it was last in December. There was a double screening in the IMAX at our local Cineworld.
Oh, was it? Oh, was it? Yeah.
It
I
was
didn't know that.
it was the day before an exam, and I couldn't justify spending like
Oh, so Kyle would have risked it all, I thought.
5 hours in a cinema to watch a double bill of the Dune films, which I really,
No,
really would have
I
done.
Gonzalo. That would. I think Dune 2 is also Gonzalo's film of the year,
Yeah,
considering he hasn't seen many. But and look, I've said it many times. I think in terms of blockbuster cinema, it's what you want to strive towards. It's a great epic. It feels grand. All the aspects of cinema are just dialed up to 11. The sound design, the visual effects, the production design, the costume design. The majority of the performances are great. I just have problems with the way the story is structured, and that's not the film's problem, really.
you've always had
That's
that
more.
issue with the book.
I've always had that problem with the
You
book, and
have, yeah.
that's something with me, guys. It's a me problem. Look, I know, but I have that problem with it, and I know it frustrates some other friends of mine. I've faced many messages of abuse about my opinions of Dune. But
Yeah.
Dune is made. I think it just missed out my top 10 list. On I think it was number 11 there. On my website. So I did love it very much. I think it's a very, very good film, and I do really look forward to
Messiah.
what they're going to do next with it, Messiah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the other, I guess. So I was okay. So yes, I did also want to mention Sing Sing
Oh
because
yeah.
that's a film I really want people to go out and see. Although it's go out and see it, I think it's on like streaming now, or you can find it online anyway. You can buy it or
Yeah.
rent it at the very worst, as they say. A beautiful human film, a really, really loving tale about the power of like art and community through acting, and the entire it's all set in the Sing Sing prison in America, and all the supporting cast are real life prisoners,
Oh
and the
wow.
co-star. Yeah, and you don't know, Kyle. You don't know until the credits roll because you would never guess because they're that good. And like the character Divine Eye. It's basically the actor for him. I'm forgetting his name now. Oh my god, it's Clarence. Sorry, out of respect, I need to get his name. His name is Clarence Macklin, right? He produced and co-wrote this because it's actually based on his experience in an acting group in a prison. And Coleman Domingo as well, who plays Divine G. Like both of them together, just if you watch this film, Kel, you'll be like, for me, Coleman Domingo. Look, I've not seen The Brutalist yet, and the Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan film.
Yeah.
They're not out here for another couple of weeks. So I can't say what about who I think would win Best Actor, but right now Coleman Domingo is the guy. His performance in Sing Sing is so beautiful and so genuine that the man completely disappears. And same with Clarence. I think he's the two performances in there are so genuine and real, and I think it's a lovely film. And it's up there. It was my second. I put it as number 2 on my list. It's so good. But anyway, my number 1 film of
Yep.
2024, and your second favorite film, Kyle. It was Poor Things. Poor Things. I know last Oscars. It was the first film we saw in
What a film.
2024, and it just stayed with me forever. I love Poor Things. Emma Stone's best performance. May controversially won Best at her second Oscar, but regardless, still her best performance. Weird steampunk-driven fantasy. There's all these things. It's this whole journey of self-discovery and
Yeah.
sort of this sort of like this whole study of like control and like twisted objectification of Bella with all these other characters, even like the McCandles character, Willem Dafoe's character, the Duncan, what was it, the Duncan character
Mark
played by
Ruffalo.
hilariously by Mark Ruffalo.
What a character.
What a performance! What a performance from Mark Ruffalo. I mean, Kyle, if you could go back in time and somehow, would you give Mark Ruffalo the Oscar over Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer?
Every moment Mark Ruffalo gets that Oscar. Every single time. I don't think I laughed so much in the cinema this year. Except like the Poor Things made me giggle every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It has my favourite line delivery probably of this decade so far.
Yeah.
Where they're running into the end and he's like, "Oh, he's bleeding from the mouth, he's able," and then the guy just turns and goes, he has cancer, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Just genuinely,
the delivery of it is
it's
so good.
So good. And Mark Ruffalo is the standout for me. No, sorry, Emma Stone is the standout, but Mark Ruffalo's a close second. I love it. Well, Dafoe was great as well. Everybody in this film is amazing. It's so good.
It's if you haven't seen it, and it's one of these things, right? Because it was a big Oscar contender last year, and it won a good few. I think it won. Well, Emma Stone definitely won. I think it won for like costume design and production.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely well deserved. I mean, fantastic looking film, and it's one of these films where you kind of think that a lot of people aren't really going to like it, but everyone who I know have seen it, and my parents, right, saw it. They're like, "Oh yeah, we watched that." Poor Things on Disney Plus the other week, and I was like, oh dear. They must have hated that. They both loved it, and they both found it hilarious. And they were sort of like, because like you and I like a lot more stuff than like
the
likes of my
person,
parents. Like they're very specific. Like a lot of the films on my big list, like they wouldn't like. But they liked that film. And I was like, my God, it's even crossed through to them. Like even they love it. It's such an impactful film, such an insightful, progressive journey into sexuality and just everything else and womanhood. And I think it's absolutely great, and I think it's Yorgos' best film, and I think he'll be really struggling to top that. I mean, he came out with Kinds of Kindness this year, which was good. It was decent, but definitely flawed. Like it's hard to follow something like Poor Things because it's a wonderful near masterpiece of a film.
Just gonna say it won 4 Oscars at the Oscars.
It won 4.
Yeah.
What were they for?
Achievement in makeup and hairstyling,
actress
leading role, production design, obviously, because
and
costume design.
Yeah. I mean, all deserving, absolutely. I mean, Willem Dafoe's makeup design, that film alone was absolutely stellar. His whole weird Frankenstein-esque face. What a man. But yeah, I mean, I think that kind of wraps up for us, Kyle. Is there any other films you want to mention, good or bad?
I don't know. Let me just have a wee look, right? I quite like the Book of Clarence, which came out this year. That was a big that was a surprise.
One
for
I
me.
missed. I
know, and that annoyed me. That was one I wanted you to see.
I will watch it.
Furiosa. We have to give a shout out to Furiosa. I have to give a shout out to that. That was probably probably the best action film this year. I know June's like an epic.
Yeah, I know it's different. Yeah, action film wise, yeah. I mean,
I
I
would
can't think of
say
anything that tops that. Yeah, it's a great action film.
I had fun with like I had fun with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I'm a huge fan of that franchise. I'm excited to see if they
Hmm.
keep going. I'm just trying to see anything else that I'm like. No, everything else like there's other fine films out there, but the top
Yeah.
ones, I have to give to the guys I talked about.
Yeah. Okay. Again.
American Fiction. That was also one I
Yeah,
found
American
quite.
Fiction. I think that's free on Amazon Prime. You don't have to pay for that. Obviously, you have to pay
That's
for the
true.
subscription. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's another. That's a really that was a bit that was an Oscar. Did that win an Oscar? I can't remember. It may have won for a screenplay.
Oh
Couldn't
yeah,
tell you. Couldn't
possibly.
tell you. I think I may have. But anyway, that will wrap up today's show. So thank you very much, Kyle, for joining me.
Welcome again.
Again. Yes, on next week's episode, we're going to be talking about Robert Eggers. We're going to talk about and ranking his best films. His best films, they're all fucking great.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about them again because Nosferatu is still in theaters and seems to be actually doing really well at the box office. So we'll be talking about Robert Eggers. But look, we just give our opinions on our favorite and least favorite films of 2024. But at the end of the day, those were our unwanted opinions. Thank you very much.